welcome Mauritius to you and your delegation. And I am extremely happy to meet with you. And my first reaction will be to share with you the sympathy of the Mauritian government following the landslide, multiple landslide that happened in Japan in the month of June and July. And I think that the result could have been more dramatic if Japan was not the country of planet Earth the most specialized in disaster management and climate change. Therefore, the fact that Japan is probably the lighthouse, you show light to the world when it comes to climate change and disaster management, had allowed probably that the disaster that took place was not that dramatic, could have been more. And this leads me, Natural Excellency, to present to you my delegation here. Therefore, I have on my left the head of the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs, the boss, and then my special advisor, Mrs. Jagmohan, on my second on my left. She is the one dealing the most, I think, with His Excellency Sato when it comes to working sessions. And then on my right is Mr. Uri, who is responsible for the Japan file, for JETRO, for TICAD, and for all the question of cooperation with Japan. And then on my right, we have Ms. Ramkesun, who is also from the same division as Mr. Uri. This is us. So once again, I would like to convey to you our warm welcome. And then if you want to say a few words first, and then we'll start with the work session. Thank you.
温かいお言葉に感謝いたします。また、我々の、モーリシャス訪問を温かく受け入れていただき感謝いたします。
I really appreciate for your warm words of sympathy, and I also appreciate that you are welcoming cordially.
そしてまた、7月の災害に際しましてお見舞いの言葉をいただき感謝いたします。
And for the disaster in July, I really appreciate that you said the words of sympathy as well.
まさに気候変動というものは年々その勢いを増し、日本でも毎年大きな被害が出ております。特に7月の豪雨災害では200名を超える死者を出すという結果になりました。
So the climate change has been severe in Japan as well, and we're experiencing a lot of disasters every year. And in this July's rainfall, we lost over 200 people.
Sorry, I'm just...
Okay.
1,000 or 100?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Kanawadi, the Secretary for Foreign Affairs and the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She is very much acquainted with Mr. Sato also when it comes to getting things done. Sorry, I return the talk.
特に私自身が7年前に大きな災害ができた福島県の出身であります。その際も帰国政府からいろんなご支援を賜り感謝しますし、私自身そういう災害には特に敏感な人間の一人です。
I'm from Fukushima Prefecture, where the Great East Japan earthquake happened 7.5 years ago, and I really appreciate that the Mauritius government sent a lot of support to Japan, and I personally am very sensitive to disaster management.
実は私は今回モーリシャスに来るのが実は初めてで非常に楽しみにしておりました。実は昨年の1月にこちらに来る予定だったんですけども、急遽国会対応のためにマラウィからそのまま日本に帰るということになってしまいました。
So this is actually my first visit to Mauritius, and I'm very thrilled to be here. And last January, I was actually planning to come here, but because of the diet sessions, I had to go back to Japan from Malawi.
特に昨年の1月に大使館がこちらの方に設置をされたということを受けて、今後二国関係をさらに強化したいというふうに思っておりますので、今日は意味のある議論をしたいというふうに思います。
So since last January, the Embassy of Japan has been established, and since taking that opportunity, I really appreciate the development of the bilateral relationship. And for today's discussion, I'm really excited for the fruitful
う
discussion.
ちのメンバーを紹介します。ご案内の通り、うちの日本の大使の加藤さんです。
This is the Ambassador Kato.
こちらに行くと、野口さんといいまして、この地域を担当しているアフリカの地域調整官です。
This is Mr. Noguchi, the Special Coordinator for the African Division.
向こうで石田君は、まさにモーリシャスを担当している担当官です。
Mr. Shida, he's a desk officer for this country.
2人とも日本の本省から来ました。
So these two people came from Tokyo.
で鈴木さんは私の今回通訳としてマラウィから来てもらってます。
I'm an interpreter. I work in Malawi.
それが駒久保さんはまさに大使館の次席で、一番僕は私の秘書官の手塚君であります。
He's Mr. Tezuka, personal assistant.
よろしくお願いします。
Thank you. Thank you. Excellency, I see that you've had a bright career and that, like me, you are in the political arena and been elected twice. So we come from the same political school. And I wish you the best in your political career because you are moving in and I'm moving out because of my age. And then I've been 40 years, more than 40 years in politics. So when it comes to Japan and Mauritius, and Ambassador Kato will tell you, we have an incredibly fruitful and friendly bilateral relations since 1969. In fact, after independence, first year after independence, Japanese embassy was opened here. No, not Japanese, but relations were established, and then those relations culminated into the opening of the embassy in Port Louis in 2017. And this, I think, expresses, and we are very proud that it is so, it expresses the political will that exists between you and us to work together. And when it comes to cooperation, we always try to share what we know the best. And when it comes to Japan, I just mentioned the fact that when it comes to climate change and disaster management, you are a world leader that is showing the way, paving the way also, and where we depend a lot on you to share with us your experience and your know-how. This cooperation has started already with the construction in Toiserf of a meteorological center that has got a Doppler equipment plus the meteor system itself, which in the words we used during the signing of the paper, one of the objectives is in fact disaster management, to ensure that we use those facilities for a better cooperation when it comes to disaster management. We have cyclones here. You have earthquakes and we have cyclones. That's our common sharing in terms of disaster management. And we also have noted with extreme pleasure that you are also participating in the management of a site we have close to Port Louis where there is landslide. This is the landslide project at Chitrakoot, which is close at my back. Those are two areas where we are now cooperating in a big way, and this is why I feel therefore that probably the next stage would be for us to now see further down the road. And I'm speaking here not only as Minister of Foreign Affairs, but I'm also chairman of the Indian Ocean Commission that grouped the 5 countries of the region. I'm also chairman of the contact group set up by the Security Council to fight piracy on the Somalian coast. And I know that Japan has been totally involved into fighting piracy, and we have noted also with great pleasure that you have donated 2.3 million US dollars to UNODC to, in fact, to have higher security and higher peace also in our region. So having those three hats, and as chair of the IOC, we organized in April of this year a maritime security conference in which you participated. There was more than 200 countries and organizations that participated, and which paved the way of how we feel the future can be and should be. You know, Excellency, Mauritius is a small island, but we have a control on 2.3 million square kilometers of ocean, which make of us, in fact, an ocean state. So our destiny is very linked to the ocean. So the question of maritime security for us is of extreme importance. This is why probably, and bearing in mind also the program announced by Prime Minister Abe on the free and open Indo-Pacific strategy, it makes sense therefore that we try to use Mauritius as a base, as a platform for operation in terms of investment, but also for operations in terms of maritime security. And when it comes to maritime security, Excellency, we also speak of fisheries. And Japan is extremely powerful when it comes to the fishing industry. In fact, we have a port development project which is very much like the one you have in Dubai and Singapore. The maritime hub, which is composed of a free port in the Jinfei area close to the port. Then the maritime hub itself has got in the plan a fishing quay that can accommodate 18 to 20 fishing vessels at all times. This project hasn't been implemented yet. It forms part of the master plan. And we need this fishing port because we have the ambition of encouraging bilateral fishing agreements with countries which are of importance to us. So this is why I would suggest to the government of Japan that we go for a bilateral fisheries agreement, in which case your fishing vessels can fish in our 2.3 million square kilometers of sea, number one. And number two, that we work together also on developing the fishing industry in Mauritius. How? By the construction of the fishing quay, which is on 1.2 kilometers from the quay itself. Then the transformation of the seafood industry and for export. We even have as ambition that in the next 10 years, we will have an auction of seafood, a seafood auction market that can then work with the Tokyo seafood market, which is the most important one in Southeast Asia. So if we can just think in that direction, I think it is both in our interest and yours also that we sign the fishing agreement first, Mauritius with Japan, opening up the whole ocean we have to fishing. Number two, the construction of a fishing port. You have experience on the construction of fishing ports. And then on the development of the fishing industry itself, that is transformation of seafood products. And then in the long term, on 10 years, Excellency, let us work on a project where we can connect the seafood auction market for the region with the seafood auction market that exists in Tokyo. So this is what I think deal with the fishing industry. I'm going well beyond this. This is my document. I'm going well beyond this because I'm working on those various components which touch the region also. When it comes to the regional cooperation, you already have donated to the UNODC a substantial amount of $2.3 million. I feel that you should be more involved. You know, if we go ahead and we fully support Prime Minister Abe on his vision for the free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. So it might make sense that we help in connecting Japan with the region when it comes to maritime security. That's number one, Excellency. I've taken some time on it because I think it's quite important for us also. The number two issue, which is mostly, and I'm happy to share with you, that I've met personally with two very important investors, trade and investment delegation that came to Mauritius, and with a large number of the most powerful companies in Japan. I met with them not only for investment in this region. There's no doubt, in Mauritius, there's no doubt that Japan should be a more active role when it comes to investing in infrastructure, like the port development project, the fishing quay that forms part of the maritime hub. So when it comes now to the second aspect of it, which is the Africa strategy, Excellency. The Africa strategy, we have also received two delegations from Japan, not only from Mauritius, but also to work more and more in Africa. And I think this goes also in line with the new strategy that has been announced by Prime Minister of Japan, and whereby you will be more connected with Africa. TICAD has been the instrument through which you have worked, and I'm pleased to tell you that I will be present. I will be present at the TICAD ministerial meeting in Tokyo in October, and hopefully the Prime Minister himself will attend the summit in Yokohama in 2019, Prime Minister. When it comes, therefore, to TICAD, we have a very ambitious investment program when it comes to African countries. And why we have become a platform for investment is probably for two reasons. One, the financial sector in Mauritius is probably the best one we have in Africa. So a large number of investors now are establishing their regional base in Mauritius for investment in Africa. This can apply to Toyota, to Suzuki, to all those huge companies you have. And then we are member of all African organizations. And we are signing very shortly also the tripartite free trade agreement with COMESA, SADC, and the EAC that will create a market of nearly 700 consumers, 700 million consumers, which is huge. Therefore, this is us working to get closer to the African market and having the advantage of being a member of all the organizations in the region. So this gives us the advantage of therefore opening the way for investment. How do we proceed, Excellency? We proceed not at the level of private sector to private sector. I'll tell you why. Investment in Africa is not that easy. People know it, we know it. Foreign investors also always complain that investment in Africa is very difficult. So what we are doing is not encouraging investors to move directly with private investors in Africa, but that in some ways we have. We have what we call G2G agreements. That is, Mauritius has government-to-government agreements with some major countries in Africa with which we can work, having democracy, transparency, ease of doing business. So we have Kenya, we have South Africa, we have Ghana, we have Ivory Coast, we have Senegal. We are moving towards Zambia also. The idea is that through those G2G agreements, Excellency, we established a joint economic commission between both countries with projects, large number of projects. I'll give you one example of the JEC we have with Kenya, and which took place 2 weeks back. In the case of Kenya, I met personally with the President Kenyatta quite a few times, and they are asking us to develop special economic zones in regions which are very important for Kenya. In that case, the Navamsha is the name? Correct me? Navamsha? But it's a beautiful place. It's 70 kilometers from Nairobi. It's an SEZ connected to the Chinese railway station from Nairobi to Mombasa. So President Kenyatta asked me to see whether we can work together on this. This is a multi-billion project. Multi-billion-dollar project. We don't have those funds, but we can be used as a connecting link between Japanese investors, Mauritian investors if necessary, and Kenyan investors to invest in those regions. So we are having a master plan drawn out because the SEZ comprises, number one, a free trade zone, number two, an export enterprise zone for industrial production for export, and then number three, naturally, hotels and development there. I feel that those are areas which might be of interest to Japan to therefore focalize its investment in those specific zones which are the advantage G2G. Once a project goes through, it can be any project, Excellency, it goes through at the highest level. In fact, the G2G is done at the level of the President office or Vice President's office, very high level, just to ensure that decision making move fast when it comes to project. So those are the two areas where I feel, there are many other sub-areas, but I'm concentrating on only those two areas. One is therefore the question of maritime security and fishing industry naturally, and number two, the question of Japan investors moving into Africa through our G2G connections. I'll stop here because I know that the move to a listing of all we propose to it's very long. But those are two main areas which politically we can share together. Maritime security and then number fisheries and then number two Africa. And all these fall very well within the strategy of Prime Minister Abe. That's how I feel it. Thank you for listening to what I've been saying. And may I please ask you to share with us this whole exchange. Thank you.
Very important thing. The success.
Wow, I know this. I got it from Ambassador already. Thank you. And this, you know, this is full handmade. This is Mauritian work. It's best when it comes to. They work hundreds of hours to have one like this produced. So this is small gift from Mauritius. We will do it. You can just touch it.
I'm display in my room.
Yes, in your office.
Okay.
When I come, it should be there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'll convey your message to our minister, Mr. Kono.
Thank you. Thank you. Since we are here, normally we have a small statement. And so we have the extreme privilege of having in our midst the State Minister to Foreign Affairs of Japan, Ambassador Sato. And I would invite Your Excellency to say a few words, and then I'll say a few words also to the local press. Thank you.
Thank you. 外務副大臣の佐藤です。今回の訪問の一番の目的は、大使館の開設に伴い、さらに二国間関係をプロジェクトを通じて強化をしたいという思いで参りました。
My name is Sato, the Minister of Foreign Affairs State Minister, and the main purpose of my visit is to strengthen the bilateral relationship with the establishment of the embassy through a lot of projects.
特に今回は、マリタイムセキュリティのエリア、あるいはそのアフリカ戦略というものについても議論を交わさせていただきました。
Today we had discussions regarding maritime security and African strategy as well.
その他にも、二国関係の防災、減災、気候変動対策というものについても意見交換をさせていただきました。
We also interacted with each other in the fields of disaster management and also the countermeasures against climate change.
今後とも、二国間協力、そして国際上における協力というものを通じて、二国間関係をさらに強固なものにしていきたいというふうに思います。
I really would like to strengthen our bilateral relationships through cooperating in the international arena as well.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. Excuse me, would you mind if I say a few words in Creole? And then we'll translate, or you will translate? I'm joking. C'est une rencontre très importante, bien plus importante qu'il nous pensait, parce que le Japon est une bonne puissance les plus développées au niveau mondial. Et l'ouverture de l'ambassade du Japon à Maurice, déjà un événement très important. Discussion de Fédénage aujourd'hui, les 4 points. Premièrement, la sécurité maritime et coopération dans le domaine de la pêche. La sécurité maritime, nous discutons effectivement l'intérêt que le Japon est là. Je tout connais que le Japon a un problème avec le changement climatique et avec des désastres liés à ce changement climatique. Première chose qu'ils vont faire, bien sûr, c'est présenter nos sympathies l'île Maurice au gouvernement du Japon, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de monde qui sont au mois de juillet dans un glissement de terrain. Et heureusement pour le Japon est un pays plus avancé les mondes en matière de disaster management, en matière de gestion, des désastres, donc quelque chose qui arrivait pas prévoir. Nous faisons une cause là, et nous faisons une cause aussi de la pêche. Nous invite donc le Japon à signer avec l'île Maurice un accord de pêche que le Japon est capable de la pêche dans toutes nos zones économiques de 2,3 millions de kilomètres carrés. C'est une proposition formelle qu'ils vont faire à son Excellence et à travers l'île au Japon. Nous faisons une cause aussi évidemment le développement du port de pêche, parce qu'il n'est pas qu'à cause de la pêche, si nous faisons un port de pêche. Donc nous faisons une demande, le Japon aide-nous pour la construction d'un quai de pêche qui peut loin 1,2 km dans la mer et qui est capable à tout moment recevoir 18 à 20 bateaux de pêche. Et nous faisons une demande aussi, le Japon aide-nous dans le développement de l'industrie de la pêche en matière de transformation poisson, produits de pêche, fruits de mer, transformation et réexportation. Avec l'idée que dans 5-8 ans, nous pouvons ici ce qu'on appelle un auction market. Un peu comme le Japon est là, un plus gros au fait au Japon en matière de vente dans la région fruits de mer. Nous pouvons servir pour la région d'ici une sorte donc de auction, vente à l'encan, si on peut dire, de fruits de mer. Ça c'est la pêche, ça c'est l'océan, et aussi le côté de l'Afrique, évidemment, nous fait une cause à stratégie africaine, de quelle façon nous sommes capables d'ouvrir nous la porte, vers une courroie de transmission entre un investisseur privé japonais qui servent Maurice pour donc investir au Japon. Gros, très gros, nous fait une cause d'un gros projet aussi. Et bien, et troisièmement, évidemment, je suis tout au courant que l'île Maurice non seulement fait un signe avec l'Afrique, le Continental Free Trade Agreement, mais nous faisons signe aussi avec l'Afrique un accord trilatéral comme ESA, SADC et IEC pour qu'ils nous gagnent accès à 700 millions de consommateurs en Afrique. Ça nous fait ça au niveau de l'Afrique. Au niveau de l'Asie, nous finalisons là maintenant l'accord de libre-échange avec l'Inde, on appelle ça SECPA, et nous finalisons là, presque finalisons la discussion, il y a 2 jours, nous pouvons avoir une délégation Beijing à la fin du mois pour finaliser donc l'accord de libre-échange entre le Japon et l'île Maurice. C'est un accord très important pour l'île Maurice. Et troisième, donc, le Japon, du fait que nous signer l'accord avec l'Inde et avec la Chine, pourquoi pas nous passer un accord de libre-échange avec le Japon aussi. Voilà donc 4 projets qui nous discutés. Et en même temps, nous faisons remercier le Japon pour le centre météo qui est créé au niveau de ProCF. Et nous essayons plus de coopération maintenant dans le domaine de gestion des désastres naturels. Voilà un peu ce que nous discutons. C'est une question évidemment qui nous can répondre. If there's any question that the press would like to put to you or to me, we'll try to answer if we can.
Yeah.
OK. Il y a des questions? Non.
OK, c'est bon.
C'est bon?
D'accord.
Allez.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. Merci. Ah, merci. Thank you.